Number 49, your life is your story. Write well, edit often.
You're listening to the very best podcast in the world on health, wealth, and happiness. Please remember to leave a review and share with all your friends and family. And here is your host, Lars Hilser.
Morning, kids. Are you trusting your gut more than you were before you heard yesterday's show? I truly hope so, and I hope I was clear enough on explaining to you the message I was trying to convey. In that it's really a healthy aspect to trust your gut and to be honest with yourself. And what are we going to talk about today? It's about your life and your story and your stuff, and reinventing yourself occasionally for different reasons. And that may sound quite egoistic up to narcissistic, but at the end of the day, it's your personal satisfaction that makes you a bearable character in life. Now, you're going to be surrounded by people, and these people are going to change, but there are certain people who, will stick around. Your spouse, for instance, the rest of your family who you, more likely than not, in most cases at least, have a certain amount of contact and connection to. The same goes, of course, for your offspring. You want to be in touch with them, and so on and so forth. Therefore, it is very, very, very important to treat yourself well, and to I don't know if reinventing yourself is the proper term in this context, but this will lead to an increase in satisfaction, especially, imagine yourself in a boring job situation, and, you want to stick around there until retirement in 30, 40 years, until, your retirement age is reached, and then you get a golden handshake or maybe just a silver one, and then you get kicked off, and then you've got another, 10 years statistically to live. If the cancer bug doesn't bite you in the ass, and then you're, I don't know where. And the prospect of that pretty much fucking sucks. And so therefore, I don't know, I can only tell you from myself and a lot of interesting people whatever I surround myself with. All of them have gone through several significant transitions in their life just to maintain happiness and, sanity, basically. Because if you go to the same box every day, work for the same person every day, get your same payment check every week or day or, month or whatever your payment schedule is, it inevitably will get boring. At the end of the day, and, 40 years into your job, your colleagues are going to know you better than your wife or your spouse, and this, there's no real reason, because the world just has so much to offer. Now, let me be clear. If you've got to put food on the table, etc., there's got to be a certain amount of stability, right? But that's what I mentioned in the financial freedom or financial liberty. I think the financial freedom episode, it's in the 40s somewhere, the early 40s, I believe. Check that out, where you basically work, you have a side hustle where you establish your business, and, then comes a time when you can pull the ejection cord out of your normal job and have your own business and, start another, and that kind of thing, right? So it's not that you have a valid argument of saying, I don't know what's going to happen in the future. Nobody does. Everybody's fucking glass ball is broken. That's why there are so many unsuccessful glass ball repair shops all over the world in all metropolises, right? Just, it's not going to be satisfactory to stay in the same place forever. And it's going to frustrate you. And most importantly, and this is where things get really iffy, it's going to make your life fly past you so fucking fast that it's unbelievable. The speed that the acceleration that you get, once you're in that job and you do the same thing for 40 years, it's just going to exponentially increase, especially if you get offspring in your, into your life. The things are just going to go apeshit. You do your thing, you go home, and it's like, where did the week go? Where'd the month go? Shit, is it Christmas again? Christmas was just yesterday. And that's the perception that you get. I made an episode on that, why that is the case. So it's another thing you may want to check out on how to do that. You don't necessarily have to kill your job for it or your career. There are certain hobbies that you can adapt and change and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of stuff that a lot of bells and whistles you can kind of switch around there. Now, that being said, this was actually one of the things I wanted to start out with, is that, the more routine in your life you have, the faster time flies, because this routine automates and therefore you don't notice it. Processes that you do every day, routines you do every day, they're just so repetitive and normal that they don't take any more time or brain power or whatever. It's like you're one of these people, and I don't know, this famous scene from the Indiana Jones movie comes to mind. Raiders of the Lost Ark. No, was it? What's the last one? With Sean Connery, I forget the name. Whatever, the dude sitting in the library in Venice stamping the books. That's kind of like the most boring job, and this dude is going to have an uneventful life. However, right, if he were to take on a new hobby, like, I don't know, dancing or whatever, we don't know what the dude did in his private life. So nonetheless, the more you change your life, the more or the slower time is going to fly by you. And it's a very important thing to keep in mind. That's why there is this sentence, edit often, right? I've been through probably half a dozen lives, really. I did my normal vocational training after having my successful drugs and alcohol and rock and roll juvenile period. Got my degrees over, not necessarily night school, but an equivalent to that. Worked myself up to get a degree in finance. Then, founded my own company, then founded my second company, then went into consulting in the digital strategy sector, then returned back to my very past life of what is now referred to as information security, which was then referred to as hacking. And so, there's, and in betweens, there's fair to say that there's about half a dozen lives that I've lived, or periods of my life, but counting the intensity or taking the intensity into the equation, I'm bound to say, well, not bound to say, but I'm tentative to say that you could actually speak of a life that I lived within a matter of a few years. I'm 41 now, so, there are probably quite a few more lives to come. I don't know, maybe I'm comfortable with being where I am for the rest of it. Let's see. I'm all open to good stuff. Right now, I'm a podcast host, and I'm a cook, I'm a homemaker, and I'm an Airbnb host, and it's just, the diversity is just insanely, what's the word? I don't know, promising, fulfilling. No idea. You get to learn a lot of stuff, and so on and so forth. But long story short, that's the part of edit often, which, let's start at the back, why don't we? Right? Write well, which is another very important aspect. Now, what you want to do until let's take this figuratively and say, write well, keep your book that you're writing a secret until it's ready to publish. Right? So this is in context to all of your projects and plans and what you're trying to do, until you're actually ready to launch them, shut the fuck up about it. Because here's why. There are multiple things that will happen when you outline uh, your plans to friends and family, and you're looking for business advisors and mentors and whatnot, right? Everybody's gonna have an opinion about it, and opinions are like assholes. So you're gonna include those opinions into your product or project, whatever it may be, and you will end up diluting it. And that's the rosebud term. You can actually say fuck it up. And yeah, are there any other more gross words for it? It's just going to lose its authenticity, right? I'm not saying don't take advice, right? It's just don't go apeshit including it and changing your plans according to what, I don't know, daddy said, or Uncle Bill said, or, whomever said something, or business coach, uh, David, whatever. At the end of the day, it's going to be your project, and you, or your product, or your service, or whatever. But at the end of the day, pull a line under it. You're going to have to be the poor asshole to sell it. And if you're not convinced, because at the end of the day, it's so diluted with ideas from outside that, that mommy and daddy and Uncle Bill and whatever could be better at selling the product, because essentially their ideas have diluted your original idea so far that it's not your product anymore, or your service, or your project, or whatever. So, again, don't take advice literally. If Uncle Bill says, well, you might tweak and twack it there. Good. Let's have a look. Let's make an iteration, see if it pans out. If it doesn't, okay. Or daddy said, have you thought about insurance? Well, fucking valuable advice, because a lot of people forget that. I know that from experience, right? Take that into account, and whatever, but just don't, write it in your business plan somewhere or in your journal. Just don't go out and over insure yourself just because daddy said you need insurance, right? There are professionals for that. And, damn, if you hire them, you're going to be well insured to a degree where it doesn't hurt you, and to a degree where the insurance actually pays if something goes south. Because daddy didn't include that in his message, right? So that being said, keeping quiet about the projects is also important, because the outside world is going to be jealous. A lot of people are. As soon as you have the prospect of making more money than the outside world, they're going to be jealous. They're going to throw sticks and stones at you. They're going to try and wear you down. They're going to make you aware of all the risks, and have you considered this? And are you aware that, a meteorite could hit tomorrow? It's all this kind of bullshit that everybody throws at you, which is insanely demotivating. And it takes a quite fucking solid persona to deflect all of that crap. But at the end of the day, even despite your, your rock solid persona, it's going to wear you down, right? And that's just a fact. So that's another factor why, until you're ready to launch, just, keep it quiet, go into your chamber, build your empire there. And then when it's ready to launch, when you've got all of the pieces of the puzzle together, then you push the big red button and launch the rocket. That's the way it should go. Now, your life is your story. I think I covered that in the first bit, and it kind of combines both of the factors that we addressed now. I think we can draw a line here and say that, edit often, in that maybe it's time for a change now. Maybe you just have a change behind you, and you're frustrated or whatever, then change again. It's not the end of the fucking road, right? There are many examples where the quote unquote elderly in their 40s only started very successful companies. Keep McDonald's in mind, or there are many other companies which weren't founded by teenagers like the new venture capital firms were. If you've got a good idea, do your homework, look up all possibilities that are there for production and whatever not, and do that in silence. Just float the idea, maybe with one or two very, very, very trusted friends, but keep it broad. Don't say I'm going to build a new rocket ship. Just say, hey, what would you think about if there was a faster way from, New York to Los Angeles or whatever, like Musk proposed with the Boring Company, and those kind of things. It's about treading carefully with sharing that kind of information. Don't be worried that somebody's going to steal it and build it, under your feet or under your nose just to rub you. And that's highly unlikely to happen. It just doesn't really fly. But like I said, jealousy is going to be an aspect, and advice that you get from the outside, because all of a sudden everybody and their dog is going to be a business advisor, and they're going to have all of these fucking great ideas, and they're just going to throw you off the scent of what you were originally wanting to do. When the time comes, hire professionals and don't listen to Daddy and Uncle Bill. That's a pretty fucking bad idea. I know from experience. That being said, shall we call it a day, shall we? I don't know. I think I'm going to work a bit more on tomorrow's episode, because tomorrow's Friday, and we're going to be completing if my math is correct, 10th week of the very best podcast in the world. And yeah, the 10th week, I don't know, that's not worth an anniversary. So we're just going to do an ordinary exercise tomorrow. Maybe it's running around the block 10 times. No idea yet. But no, I'm not going to join you. In that sense, I hope that I was clear in what I meant by your life is your story, write well and edit often. If I haven't, if you have inquiries, advice, criticism, whatever, please email it to theverybestpodcastintheworld@gmail.com. Any piece of information and whatever is welcome. We do have exciting news, but I'm going to mention that tomorrow. So stay tuned. Have a good night. If you've had a successful day, if you haven't had a successful day, have a successful day and then have a good night. Keep your hands above the blanket, as always, when you go to bed. And I'll see you tomorrow for the 5th exercise, 20, whatever. My math sucks. All right. See you later. Peace out. See you tomorrow. Bye.